Okay, so what we are going to do, we're gonna use all of the rules for exponents. We're gonna practice the product rule, the quotient rule. We're gonna deal with negative exponents. When you take something and raise it to a zero power, a power to power rule, and then the last two sections are going to be mix matching all of these rules right here, 1 through 6, or 1 through 5, sorry. Okay, so, everybody, the very first rule. Does anyone know what the product rule is? It says,
You add those.
it says when bases are the same and you're multiplying, what do?
Add the exponent.
You keep the base the same and you add the exponents, so you get 3 to the 5th power, right? And what is 3 to the 5th power? It's 243. How about B?
X to the 8.
X to the 8. Now, you know where this gets confusing is if I were to give you a multiple choice question, guess what one of the wrong answers is going to be?
X to the 15.
It'd be X, yep, they would multiply the two exponents. So you'd write some, if this was a multiple choice question, one of the wrong answers would be X to the 15. Yep. So that's why you have to know these rules very well. How about C? What would C be?
Y to the 8th.
Yep, to the 8th power. And how you get 8 is there's a 1 there. 7 and 1 is 8. And the last one, 4 to the 5th. Very good. And what is 4 to the 5th power? 1024. Okay, next rule. So we did, that's the product rule. That was number 1. We did the product rule. The quotient rule. What is a quotient? It's a fraction.
Dividing.
Division. Yeah. Does anyone know, can anyone recite the quotient rule?
When the bases are the same, you subtract that.
So for A, the bases are the same and we're dividing. What do you get? 5 to the
5 squared.
squared. And what is 5 squared?
25.
25. Good job. How about B? 3 to the negative 2 power. I'm sorry,
Third.
negative 3 power. And do you guys know, we could do it right now. How do you get rid of a negative exponent? You bring it, wherever it is, you bring it, if it's in the denominator and it's negative, you bring it in the numerator and make it positive.
Put the reciprocal.
So yeah, it's the, yeah. So this is gonna be 1 over 27. Okay. Yep, yep, 1 over 27. How about C? X to the
4th.
4. Good. And D?
X to the negative 1 or 1/3. So
M
1
to the
over
negative
X.
1 or
1 over.
1 over M.
I say 1 over X.
Anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, now, let's talk about these negative exponents. How do you get rid of a negative exponent?
You take the opposite reciprocal to it.
Not opposite, but just switch it. Switch it, like right now, this is in the numerator. You're gonna move it in the denominator and make it 1 over 6 squared.
It's
So
36.
1 over 36. Yep. How about B? B's tricky.
5 over a fifth.
Good job, Brett. 5 over a to the 5th.
So you only carry the
Why?
negative
Yes,
Because
because
it's only
only
attached.
this has a negative exponent. Good job. How about C?
Would it be just 5/3?
It'll be F to the
F to the 3rd goes up on top. F to the 3rd. And D?
X squared over
X
9.
squared over
9x.
9x squared.
Oh,
So you should.
Okay. Okay, example 4 is still in the 3rd objective. So, we want to simplify this. How do we simplify? How do we simplify this?
6xy.
Everybody look at what
Five.
has a negative
Bring that y
exponent.
The
up.
y.
So it's
You're going to bring this up.
6xy to the 5th.
You get 6xy to the 5th, good job, over z. The y to the negative 2. You're going to make it y to the 2nd power, and 2 and 3 is 5. Questions? How about B?
Would you bring the -2 and the -1 down?
Mm-hmm. So x to the third stays. And then in the bottom, you've got -6 squared. Now this is tricky right here. And then y to the first power, down.
So it'll just be
36
Now, does anyone know what this is right here?
36.
But it's, no, the neg,
36y?
negative 30.
It's -36. Why is it -36? A lot of people have trouble with that. This is really -1 times 6 squared. So you're gonna square 6, only the 6 is to the second power. So it's a negative. Now, if this would have been like this, like that, then you would square the -6, and then it would be a positive 36. Okay, so, but there's no parentheses there. Next, okay, this one's a little different. How do you change a negative exponent? Well, you would make this 1/3 and then make this 1/2. How do you add two fractions when the denominator,
Common
you gotta get a common denominator, which,
LCD.
so it's 2, 6 plus 3, 6, which is 5, 6. And D. Okay, so how do you change, what gets changed? This gets changed, and this gets changed to a positive exponent. How do you change this first thing right here? 3 times 2 to the -3, what do you do? This is gonna be 3 over 2 to the third, and what is 2 to the third? 8, so this is 3/8 plus, this is gonna be a 7 over 4 squared, what's 4 squared? 16, so 7/16, are you guys with me?
13/16.
And so now multiply this by 2, so 6/16 plus 7/16 is 13/16. Whoops. 13/16. Okay, how are we doing so far? Thumbs up?
Doing amazing.
Everybody? Thumbs up. Okay, the back side, for objective 4, we're dealing with any number to the 0 power is,
0.
any number to the 0 power, it's not 0, but it's 1.
Yeah.
Any number to a 0 power is 1. So what's A? 150 to the 0 power is 1. A little tricky on B. It's 8
8.
times, so it's 8. 8 times 1 is 8. And how about C?
-x.
Negative x. Good. And D?
Would that just be -1?
It'd be -1. Absolutely right. Okay, how are we doing so far? Okay. The next rule. This is called power to power. This is 3 squared. This is one term, you guys. How do you raise something to a power? If it's a power already, power to a power, what do you do with these two? You multiply them. So this is going to be 3 to the 6th power. And what is 3 to the 6th power? 729.
Yep.
You are right.
Are you aware that the answers are at the bottom?
Yes. How about B?
1 over x.
1 over x.
You got it. Sam, are you good?
I wrote the answers down.
How about C? What's 4 to the 4th power?
256.
256. And D? It's y to the -15th or 1 over y to the 15th. Good? Okay, last two sets are combining all of the properties. So number A, letter A, 6A. What do you do here? You've got -4, we're gonna cube, we have to cube both of these. So it's -4 to the 3rd power and x to the 9th. 3 times 3 is 9. And what is -4 times -4 times -4? -6,
Positive.
not
Oh,
positive.
negative. 16 times 4 is
Mhm. How about B? We have to square all 3 of these. That, this, and that. So what is 2 squared? 4, -8, and n to the 6. Now, I don't want any negative exponents in my answer.
So 4n6
4n to the 6th over m to the 8th. Okay, next one. Okay, you've got 1/2 to the -2 power. So what you're gonna do is flip it and make this 2 over 1, and you're gonna square it. So you get 4,
Why did you flip it?
because it has a negative exponent right here.
That
You have to raise up, so that's what you have. You have 1/2 to the -2 power. What do you get right here? You get r to the -6 and r to the -4, right? So you're distributing this negative. Well, what happens with these two right here? These two are gonna go in the bottom. R to the 6, R to the 4.
How'd you get R to the 4?
These two multiply.
Yeah, but it's a
It's an S, not an R.
Oh, S. R, S, and I wrote it twice. That's nice of me. S, sorry. Now this right here, you're gonna flip it. The 2 will go up on top, the bottom will be the 1, and you're gonna end up making it a +2. So that's how 1/2 to the -2. So just think of flipping this.
Right away whenever you have.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a positive, oh, I'm sorry, 4. 2 squared, which is 4. So you have to square them, but flip them because it's a -2. And B. We have to square, what's -4 squared? 16. And then what happens to these? You've got x to the -3 squared.
That's
Where's it gonna go?
bottom X plus.
Yep. And then y to the 8th on top.
So we don't even have to show that step, like if you know.
No, that's fine. This is all review. This is pre-6-1. This is so we are just reviewing this so we can go into 6 point, we haven't even gone into 6-1 yet. This is just reviewing the rules. Okay, now, what happens when we have a fraction and then a power outside? You know what to do here?
multiple.
You're gonna take the numerator and raise that to the 2nd power, so 3 squared is 9. And then what's x cubed squared?
X to 6.
Yep, 9 over x to the 6th. Okay, check out letter B. Now, before you grab that cube outside the parentheses, look inside. Is there any way, can you simplify inside here? Simplify this first.
2
And then grab this 3. So let's make a fraction, and you may not need the fraction. It might be, you might get rid of it. So how can we simplify? So pretend like this isn't there. How do we simplify 8 and 16? What do you get?
2.
8 goes into 16 2 times. What about the m's? How many m's are left?
2.
Where?
3.
Top.
Oh.
You have 1 on the bottom and 2 on top. What's the rule for when they're the same? What do? You subtract. 3 minus 1 is 2. How about the ends?
Take out 2.
And you get 2, right? What's left on the bottom?
Nothing.
A 1. Really not nothing, but a 1. Now what you're gonna, now don't you think it's easier to cube these 3 than to do it right here? It is a lot easier. So what is 2 cubed? 8. M squared cubed? 6. And n to the, okay, and that's your answer. Questions? Okay, C also, you're gonna simplify this first. Okay, so what do you have before you square everything? Look at your 4 and your 8. What do you get? 1/2. How about the x's?
They cancel.
They cancel completely out. What would you do with these y's? I would bring the y to the -3 down and add it to this y that's already here, so it'd be y to the 4th, right? Now what do you do?
You gotta square it.
Square everything. What's 1 squared? 1. What's 2 squared? 4. And y to the 8. That's your answer. And D.
Ew.
Now D is probably the hardest one. Can we cancel anything inside? No. The answer to that is no. Because these have different powers. But one thing you could do, see how they're both negative exponents?
Opposite.
I could flip-flop them. I could turn this e to the -3, f to the 4th, I can make this squared on top. And in the bottom, I would have 3e to the 5th, f to the -2. We're going to cube it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So all we did was we dealt with the negative part of these exponents. You just switch it to make it a positive exponent. Now let's square each of these. So we have e on top. This is going to become e to the what? -6. F to the 8th. And then we have in the bottom, we have 3 cubed. What's 3 cubed? 27. E to the 15th. And f to the -6. Okay, now deal with the negative exponents. What has a negative exponent?
F and E.
If you bring this down, what do you have?
27e to the 21st.
27e to the 21st. How did you get that, Nick?
So 6, you're switching.
You're bringing it down.
Yeah, and
And-
so you add it to the 15.
Yeah. And what about the f's?
F to the 14th.
This has got to go up here, and you get f to the,
14th.
and we are done with our notes. Questions? Anyone?
Stop recording.
21?
Where'd you get the
27.
-6 on
Oh,
top.
oh, this
and then the
21.
15.
You bring this e to the -6 down, and 15 plus 6 is 21. Are you good? Okay, now, what is your assignment for tonight?
I would stop recording.
The back page, you guys have a half hour, and you've got 27 questions, and you should be able to do it. You can turn that off.